Right, this is Operation End Times. Today is February 22nd. This is Synchronicity 11, the big event number 2, part 2, part B. And I'm really trying to wrap up this series, man. But we're trying to just continue on from where we were at. Is, you know, in the changing of these ages, we were looking at Ecclesiastics, and it's talking about the works of mankind being brought into judgment, Ecclesiastics 12:14. And it also says, this is quite amazing, Ecclesiastics 12:13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter, the ending of the age. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And I'm going to tell you, I feel like that is a distortion, my friends, and that may blow you away. But Noah, when he came out of the ark, there's some verbiage in there. I'm not going to read it, but God basically tells Noah, he says, as you come down off the mountain, all the beasts of the fields and the birds of the air and the creepy crawl things are going to be terrified of you, and you're going to have dominion over all of them. Now, people, once again, they want to think that's just animals, but I'm telling you, do animals fear men? Not really. I'd like to see you standing in a field with a roaring lion facing you. He's going to attack you and tear you up. He's not going to be in fear of you. So what he's really talking about is people, the spiritual beasts, cattle, lions, the birds, the doves, the whoever. People are going to be in fear of you. And why are they going to be in fear of you? Is because they're not walking in the light. Darkness flees from the light. And spiritually, they still have like one eye closed or both eyes closed, because if both eyes are open, God's face is not the moon split between dark and light. It is pure light, Just like Jacob, when he was marching to go meet his brother Esau, he was initially seeing the moon as dark and light, because he was really fearing, and the darkness had taken over him, because as his brother approached with the 300 men, the 300 cubits of the ark, Jacob was fearful, and he even divided his camp trying to set up some scenario where some could survive and some couldn't. But when he finally met Esau, he said, I see the face of God in front of me. Why? Because he wasn't seeing light and dark. He was just seeing light, because Esau was just loving him, pure love. He wasn't hating his brother. He had tears of joy in his face to be reunited with his brother. And that, my friends, is the true face of God, not the two-faced God where one side terrifies you and will kill you instantly. Jesus came and he did not say fear God. He said love God and then love thy brother. So, when you know God, the true God, it is not a yin and yang symbol. It is just pure light. Now, the yin and yang distortion has more to do with male and female, the two oxen, because that's how Satan kind of controls humanity. Is right from the Garden of Eden, he was working with Eve, the queen bee, and both Eve and Adam fell to the dark side. Basically, when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, the knowledge they got made them ashamed and fearful of God. And they lost their relationship. Before, they were walking hand in hand with God. But Adam became a lonely boy. What was he lonely for? It wasn't God. He was just forgetting about God, walking away from God. But both Adam and Eve, they joined the shadow side, which is now they were seeing God as black and white. It was now the moon God, One thing I'll throw out there is, Noah, like you said, as he came off the mountain, all the beasts were going to be terrified of him. Noah kind of represents a false image of God the Father. Jesus says, my father is a husbandman who planted a vine. Noah is a husbandman who planted a vine. But you have to understand the truth of what was going on there, not what the Illuminati want you to think, that only 8, the 2 by 2, 8 people made it through, the chosen few. No, it was the huge, vast multitude that made it on through. But Noah, what was it I was going to say about him is, Noah, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, I'm going to get back on track here. Once again, the moon, the yin and yang, the two faces, the 7s and the 8s of Ecclesiastics. Today, the 222, is Ragnarok, which almost sounds like load the ark, you know. So that's kind of where I think we're at. Judgment, you know, judgment is like I said, it's on the works of man. That's the true mystery of what's going on. As God said, be fruitful, bear fruit. Fruit is works that God finds pleasing. So if you're building anything that he's not finding pleasing, it's not a fruit. He actually views it as dung, as crap. And that's why, hey, this world right now, it's all about mankind building his own works. So God's just looking at a big pile of poo that needs to be flushed. And to me, that's what this singularity is about. The next series, building the ark, you know, we're going to understand what it is. But just doing the math of the ark, that's what I was getting to. Is I told you, you know, if you make it into a pyramid, the slope becomes the 153. But if you use the 2 pi r formula, the circle is 960 cubits around, and Noah lived to be 950 years. So I think that's in play, because there's like a 10-year difference, 10 cubit difference. That's a house. That's, you know, like when time changed with the clock of Ahaz, it went back 10 degrees, you know. So, you know, I personally, you know, I don't know everything. I don't, man. So I know sometimes people think that, but hey, this 960 is it a new reference on time? Is it a frequency? I have no idea, but I think somehow 960 and the 950 of Noah are connected and are in play with the whole time equation and the changing of times. I just want to kind of throw that out there. So, to just kind of wrap it on up, you know, the big event, they think it's a birth of a Messiah, a new king who's going to establish the law. And if you fear him, because he'll rule with an iron rod, a totalitarian, you know, if you don't obey, you will die. You'll be stoned to death. But that will bring the golden age, the age of gold, of everlasting perfection of mankind. And I'll tell you what, my friends, it is all a big distortion, man. There is no age of gold or golden age. There is no queen bee. You know, there is only God. So that's what you need to understand. You know, the level playing field, that'll never be brought by mankind, because man in his heart is wicked, is depraved. And the only way you reverse that is this transformation, this transfiguration to the new whole man, and that's a spiritual baptism and birth, you know, and it is a marriage, a spiritual marriage, where you prepare your mind and God sets up his house within you, man. And as far as whether you, you know, if you're a man or a woman and you have a relationship with somebody else, hey, that's secondary, man, because first and foremost is whether you got that, you know, marriage to God, and it is the bride to Christ. Just looking at Ecclesiastes 12 before we close out this series, the verbiage once again is all like either Genesis or Noah or Revelations, where it says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves," the rainbow, the heavens bowing themselves, "and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows, it be darkened, the days of darkness, because the sun and the stars are not shining anymore. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, the ark will be loaded, the doors will be closed. And the sound of the grinding is low, because it's the grinding and gnashing of teeth outside of the door. And the voice of the bird and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." And once again, there's that verbiage, the daughters of men. The sons of God took wives from the daughters of men, but the daughters of music, the daughters are mankind, but it is spiritual, man. It's these people could be either light or dark, but they are connected. They are spirits, you know, people that their eyes are open to the spirituality. And music is, if you look up that word where it says daughters of music, it's the song that they were singing out there with Moses. It's David who would make music to take the dark spirits out of Saul. So these daughters of music are could either be walking in the light, or they could be walking in a shadow spirit where they're preaching or teaching the queen bee and trying to turn you into a worker bee, and they're walking with dark spirits. But that's what daughters of music are. It could be men or women, but it represents people. The beasts have no spirituality, whereas the daughters of men, they're spiritually connected. You know why the sons of men aren't? Because those are the sons of Adam. Adam walked away from God. Now, individually, there are men, the patriarchal lineage, guys like Enoch, the 7th son, and Noah, the 10th son, 710. I was born on 710. That's how the numbers align. But, most of the men of mankind, humanity, were not walking with or thinking about God at all, And there's a mystery there, because it keeps saying they had, as the patriarchal lineage, it keeps saying they have sons and daughters, but they never mention daughters at all. And yet that is the key of the dark side, because they're tracking the daughters. That's what's important to them, the bloodlines. And that's the truth that's coming out here, is blood is not thicker than water. Water is thicker than blood. And it's not about being born into a royal family. Jesus is grafting in. That's the doors being swung open when the people who were invited weren't invited. He grafts in everybody else, which is all these other animals, beasts, cattle, whatever, coming on board the ark, man. The guests, coming. And even a few people that don't belong slip in, and maybe they get kicked out. But I'm just saying, it's a multitude that comes in that crashes the shore of the new and promised land, like Paul when he was on the ship. If you're in the forward bow, you're seeing the light, you're seeing the way as we crash the shore and we get a toehold in the new existence. Noah sent out the raven, who couldn't get a foothold, but the dove, the spiritual pure, the spiritual daughter, brought back the olive leaf, the oil, that life on dry land was possible, got a toehold in the new reality on the beach. And that, my friends, is where we're at. The most incredible journey we could possibly imagine is, the world as we know it is going to disappear. The valleys are going to be raised, the hills are going to be lowered. That means governmental powers, structures, people, royal families, programs, insurance, 401ks, piles of gold, houses built to last, all of it, behold, Shazam, gone, melted away. It says in Ecclesiastes 12:5, and when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, fear. And the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home. We're going home, baby. And the mourners go about the streets, those wailing and gnashing in the streets. But it kind of ends where it says, where it's talking about sucking the dust out. It says, Ecclesiastes 2:6, or ever the silver cord be loosed, who can loosen the bands of Orion, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern? Then shall the dust return to the earth. And that's those people that are sealed outside, that they were, they just didn't make it because they were laughing, mocking, scorning, hating, in fear, whatever it is, they never saw the light. But they return to the earth, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. He put the spirit into man, he can surely suck it right on out, my friends. And that's why it's all about, what you want to be doing is not fanning your own spirit, because that's a fool's game. You want to be letting the Spirit of God well up within you, man, But that's part of the event. And I do believe it could be a wave of energy, the spiritual waters as the heavens meet, upper and lower, a genetic mutation, probably in the chromosomes of man, the XY, the Y somehow modifying to something, And that's where desires, the depravity of man is erased, and the shit gets flushed down the toilet. And what's left is glorious. Those of us who can now walk on dry land and not be fearful and not be ashamed, and love each other, and most importantly, love God with all our hearts. And then what we will find is we don't need to build a city. God will build the city for us with a foundation that will last forever. And there'll be room for everybody, and there'll be no tears, my friends. All right. Hey, Synchronicity of the Ages. God bless you for watching this series. Operation End Times. I'm your Jedi Warrior for Jesus. I'll be back at you with Building the Ark, the next series. All right. Hey, stay thirsty, my friends.